I would like to dedicate this drop, as I do all my drops, inwardly to my bro, man. My bro A&T, my bro Anthony Hughes. We were in a car crash together, man, way back in the day, man, way back in school, back in the college days. And, this night replays over and over again. You know, this brother right here, man, you know what I mean? I just wish y'all got to meet him. Really do. Really do. You know. I I talk about tribing up, you know what I mean? And you might think because I say that, that I got all these friends and, all these associates and all these people, because we talk tribe up. But, this comes from an era right here that, really sparked it all off. And, when it comes to people I really open up with, man, and get that real true inspiration with, you know what I'm saying? And, I've only had a few friends, you know what I'm saying? And this is definitely one of my friends, you know what I'm saying? And he taught me so much, man, and taught me so much about, being fearless and you know, having that confidence, and, just that everything can get better, will get better, it's all about perspective. And, this bro was able to, change any circumstance because of his energy. You know what I mean? I really, learned the mastery, of that energetic glow, that energetic swagger, you know what I'm saying? My bro he brought so much intelligence, so much intellect, man, just so much, so much drop, you know what I mean? And it all came to, I mean, as you can see, I don't talk about this a lot, you know what I mean? And I don't know why I decided to talk about it now. I guess it's because it's just coming out that ruach, man, out that energy that's inside. That's like, this is a testimony, man, that I definitely don't tell a lot of people. But I'm telling you, Drop Nation, because it's all happening. We're all sparking off, we're all flying. I just want to let you know that I can't fly. I can't fly without my, true to life brother, man, Anthony Hughes. You know what I'm saying? Ant was only a freshman when he came to UC Davis. You know what I mean? That's where I decided to go because my big sister was going to UCLA and I didn't want to be near her. You know what I'm saying? So I went to this little cow town to kind of pave my own way. Start my own legacy. Outside of LA. And little did I know, we had a small, community, what I'm saying, of young Nagas, what I'm saying, from LA, from Cali, what I mean, and different areas of California. We really clicked up with a lot of the, Nagas that was from our turf, what I mean, and we had a little LA clique up there, man, and Ant came in. I was already, I think, in my third or fourth year, did my third year, and he was a freshman, and he just came up, man, and just, fell, right into, right into the flow, you know what I mean? And just, he was my guy, man, you know what I'm saying? He was a guy that, hey, I got road trip, man, what it do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just always great conversations, man. So much great laughs, you know, and, we had a car accident, man, one night, leaving this, party in, I think it was in Sacramento, one of the college parties. And, this is the time that, like nowadays, everybody turn up, like they go out, they want to turn up, and they want to drink, they want to do this, man. We weren't on none of that. Like, none of us drank, none of us smoked, you know what I'm saying? Like we were just having a good time, you know what I mean? Like, that was when we were just happy to be out. We were just happy to, you know, have any experience, man. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, this particular night, we were coming back from the function. You know, there was an after function, man, and that's where I was planning on going, man, to the after party, man. And Aunt was like, nah, man, I got this tenderoni, man. You know what I'm saying? I need to go back and holler at her, man. And, peace to my sister, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know she was really hurt, truly, by this, and Aunt wanted to, go see his, his pretty young thing, man. And, I remember, like, I was on the fence, I wanted to go to the after thing, but I was like, you know what, yeah, man, let's cut back, man. I don't mind turning it in, man. And my homie Joe was with us. He was like, yeah, man, I got a pretty young thing myself to go back to. So we headed back. We headed back, and we just pulled on the freeway. We barely, even got to cruising speed. We definitely, weren't going above the speed limit. Again, you know, um, you know, in our minds, we were doing everything right. You know what I'm saying? We were going home, no drink, no smoke, no nothing. We were just having a clean time. You know what I mean? Like, in our minds, especially looking back now, like you in college, but we were having you know, a solid night. You know what I'm saying? And, I remember Aunt, I had a two-door Formula, for those that know, like Trans Ams, Pontiac. I had a Formula, man. And it was a two-door, and Aunt was in the back. My homie Joe, shout out to Joe, man. He was riding shoddy. I was driving. The car starts fishtailing, through the rain. We hit some type of, pocket. I don't know, man. But, we go side to side, and then we, started, skirting them dang near in a 360. And the car ends up hitting the side embankment on my side. And at that part of the causeway, in Sacramento, like, it's pretty much a little cliff, back in the day, like, it was only a little bit of embankment. And, praise HaWah, we hit that embankment. We didn't go off the cliff. And we spun back on the freeway, and the car came to a stop and, facing the opposite direction of traffic. And, it's 2 a.m. or so, no cars are present at that time. We don't see any cars. We don't hear any other cars. We're all just like, what the heck just happened? You know what I'm saying? And before I could really, because I just got that car, I'm all pissed off, before I could really even say much, Ant's in the back and he's like, hey, your hood is smoking. Your hood is smoking, man. Let's just, get out, man. And if he didn't say that, I would not be here today. Because, I attempt to get out the first time. My car's jammed because that's the side, or, the door's jammed a little bit because that's where we hit. So I basically have to kind of kick it open, and I get out. I take 2 steps, and I hear the loudest crash collision I've ever heard. With no warning, it was just bang. And I look up and I see Joe, but my car is gone. My car is way down the freeway by this point, and all I see is Joe. One of those 18-wheelers, big rigs, came, flying, no lights, no horn, no nothing. And it hit my car head on. And like I said, it's a 2-door, so before Joe, as a passenger, could get out and, pop open the seat for my homie right here, A&T, to get out, that 18-wheeler came. And it snatched my bro, So it's like we had 2 traffic accidents, you know what I mean? We had the first fishtail, skirt out situation. Everybody's good. Ant's in the back. He sees smoke out the hood. He says, get out the car. If he didn't say that, my Nagaz, that big wig, that 18-wheeler would have hit myself as well as Joe, who was in the front, head on. You know what I'm saying? Going however many, he was definitely, hitting that gas pedal. You know what I mean? They later found out that my bro, or not my bro, but the truck driver. Later it came out that the truck driver was on methamphetamines, was on meth at the time. You know what I'm saying? And, as you can see, it's hard to talk, man. It's hard to talk about it, man. I do not discuss this testimony often, man, but it's coming up on 21 years since this event. You know what I mean? This tragedy, for a whole family. My bro has 2 little brothers, I believe 2. Beautiful mother, beautiful father. I remember making that call, you know what I'm saying, to his mom and dad. I had my people around me, for support. And it's just something that you'll never be the same, after you have to make that call and go through a situation like this. And I know some of my Nagas out there that have had to go through different, situations with the same, same conclusion, you know what I'm saying? Losing a friend, losing a brother, losing a sister, you know what I mean? And if you lost a brother or a sister or friend tragically, just know that drop is with you. I'm with you, you know what I'm saying? Drop Nation, we with you, I've done my best to live life with purpose, you know what I'm saying, since this event happened, and that's the fire, in case you're wondering, that makes me go through any adversity, any giant gotta fall, any hijack gotta get it. I left the fear alone a long time ago. Aunt taught me that. It's my brother, man. This is that brother that you love introducing him. You know what I'm saying? Because, you he just makes everything better. You know what I'm saying? In any situation. And peace to the Hughes family. Shalom to the Hughes family. You know, I just want to give you that ahab, give you that, heart to heart. You know what I'm saying? After 21 years, it don't make it no easier to look at my bro's face and just remember so much life coming from his face, man. Shit, back in school, he had a little afro, so I remember the braids, I remember the afro, you know what I'm saying? The clean cut, all that. That was probably like his last year of high school, this big, because he was only 17, you know. Hey, hop to you, my bro, Anthony Hughes, man. Anthony Dwayne Hughes, always a part of my frequency, always a part of my family. Your family is my family. I remember the conversations with his dad, with Pops, and Pops would keep up with me, you know what I mean? Throughout that year, especially, just making sure I'm all right, and almost took a year off of school, I was just going through it. Always trying to figure, what I could have done better, differently to avoid this, man. I felt responsible, to this day. Like, I don't know, man. I remember, we pulled Ant out the car, and I thought he was going to be all right. I thought maybe he had a concussion. Um, I remember covering him with whatever jacket I was wearing because it was still raining. And I was trying to call for help, and I remember just this a lady kind of just crossed, like, nobody was on the scene, nobody was there yet. It was just myself, Joe, and Ant. The truck had fishtailed down the way, and he didn't get out the car, the truck driver, and we weren't even conscious of the truck driver. We were just focused on Ant. And I remember pulling him out the car, And a lady came, and it's like she had like almost like a maroon, like a deep color, you know, long jacket on. Uh, she was a little bit like a lighter shade, and short hair. I remember that much. And she just came with this countenance of just extreme peace, extreme shalom, like it was as if I already knew her, you know what I mean? She just made you feel that comfortable in such a tragic situation. And she came right up to me with her arms open while, Aunt was lying there. And she said, it's okay, it's all right, it's gonna be okay. It's all, everything's good, everything's fine. She just kept saying it, it's okay, everything's okay, everything's good. Everything is good. And she gave me a hug, and she gave Joe a hug. And as soon as she was finished hugging Joe, like almost as if we were in suspended time or something, like suddenly everybody was there. Suddenly the ambulance was there. Suddenly there was traffic, Suddenly I saw the homies down the way trying to wave to us, to make sure we good. Like suddenly, the ambulance was trying to put a neck brace on me and I'm fighting them off like, I'm good, I didn't get hurt. Like, take care of my mans, you know what I'm saying? And they were treating it as if it was already over. I didn't know why. Like, I was like, y'all gotta, focus on him. Y'all gotta fight for him. I'm fighting them. And they already knew, it was over. And finally they got me and Joe in the ambulance, and me and Joe were sitting there. We saw that they had covered up Aunt already. And Joe turns to me and he says, hey, what happened to that lady? Did you see what happened to that lady? I don't know why he chose to think about it. I don't know, but you know, I didn't think about it till later. You know what I mean? Like even the fact that he asked me that, I don't know what my answer. You know, um, but thinking about it now, I have no idea where she came from and where she went. All I know is that at the funeral, or at the wake, uh, I was at his house, with his people. You know what I mean? And we were there to make sure, we cleared the air that, his people didn't get no mixed up story or nothing like that. And of course, to pay our honor to the family. And, like it was hard that it was our first time meeting his family, his people. Because, as fast as things was moving in college, as fast as, what I'm saying, things progress and you become friends so quickly, we didn't know each other very long, We didn't have a chance to meet each other's people. So one of his people came up to me and he said, I heard you saw my mother. And I didn't know that his mother had passed away. Um, Aunt's friend's mother, So he had me describe her. And based on the description I gave, he knew for a fact that that was her. And he said, "Thank you. Thanks, man. Thank you." That's heavy, for a friend of your bro that ain't here, to come up to you and say, "I heard you saw my mother, and this is the lady that came and gave me and Joe a hug." Like, that's heavy. All I know is that it changed me. It definitely changed. You know, I guess the boy in me grew up quickly after that. I just want to give Ahab to, all the ant, his people. Like, they just took us in, like they weren't acting like, "What did y'all do?" And, up at that college, like it was just, they just wanted to hear it from us, and they wanted to understand, you know what I mean? And based on that, they knew that, we loved them like they loved them, you know what I'm saying? And, we look after them the same way, you know what I'm saying? And, this event right here, man, was, how can you ever, foresee a night like this? And although I know and I hope, that the family, you know, definitely put their lawsuit, against this truck driver company, you know what I mean, and all this stuff. And I know he was on meth and all this stuff, man, but that don't make it no better. That don't bring homie back. That don't bring nothing, you know what I'm saying? And, uh, nothing can replace Anthony, man. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to tell the family, man, y'all gave me, Joe, nothing but inspiration, Pops. I appreciate you, checking on me, man, and making sure I found some level of focus, you know what I'm saying, throughout the year, letting me know that I had to do it for you, and I just wish I could see the man that Anthony would be today. But, based on how we are, Drop Nation, I know that he would have been a true to life wave surfer. True to life wave surfer, man. A true con. It's an article written in the Aggie, UC Davis campus editor. It says dozens of friends and acquaintances gathered at the African Diaspora House on Wednesday in memory of UC Davis first-year student Anthony Dwayne Hughes, who passed away early Sunday morning. Hughes died as a result of a head-on collision with the Volvo and big rig trailer combination on Highway 50. Man, my Nagaz, you can't make this stuff up. A head-on collision with a big rig, man. And I'm still here. Hey, up to Joe's still here. But we're only here because of Anthony Dwayne Hughes. Because it would have been us if he didn't say something, if he didn't tell us to get out the car. And my heart is always with my bro Joe because, Joe had that last moment where as he's helping him out the car, here comes this big rig, man. And, Joe had to jump out the way or else it would have been him too. You know what I'm saying? And what could he do? And I know he lives this over and over again, but my nigga Joe, my bro Joe, You already know, man. There's really nothing else to say. You know, you know what to do. You've been doing it, man. You know what to do. Just keep having that purpose. There's nothing you could have done, bro, any different. So, we need you here. You know what I mean? And, Ant's here too. You know what I'm saying? Ant will always be here with us. So, yeah, man. Yeah, you survive LA, you survive all the gangs, all of this, all of that, and then you come to UC Davis, and in your first year, a head-on collision with a big rig, man. It breaks your heart every single time you think about it, man. So that's why I don't really, visit this, component within myself often, but I do inwardly all the time, but not outwardly. But I just want y'all to know, Drop Nation, man, where we get it from, where the fire to pop off comes from, and man, to not give up and to reach maximum pop offness, man, because we got to for the Naga A&T. We got to, because for some reason, all praise HaWah, you know, and said to get out the car. So I gotta live this for him, you know what I'm saying? All praise HaWah, and I know Ant, his energy continues, you know what I'm saying? And I got so much coming out now, but I'll just say, man, Ahab, Ant, the truest Ahab, which means love in the Ibaru, man. The truest love, bro. The truest Ahab. 21 years have gone by, but you still fly, bro. You still the flies, bro. You know what I'm saying? Two other passengers in the car, UC Davis students Marcus Andrews and Joe Black, survived the accident. Senior Jessica Marshall welcomed the memorial service attendees and thanked them for coming together as a family. Before we begin, we'd like to call on our ancestors to be with us in this time of celebration and mourning, said Ashaki Jackson, who organized the event along with Marshall and Belinda Pryor. Jackson performed a libation wherein she watered a small plant. The water is symbolic of our ancestors and the roots are symbolic of us, she said. Leah Olison, director of the Student Recruitment and Retention Center, led the first prayer and called on God to look over Hughes' family and friends as they grieve over the loss of his life. God, HaWah, be with them to ease their pain and remind them that the pain will not always be there, and remind them Hughes' memory will be, she said. Hughes, who lived in the Tesoro Residence Hall, was one of 15 students who UCD alumnus Ricky Shabazz recruited to enroll in the university. He was going to make it here at UCD, said he was and always will be a part of this family, because Anthony will not have the opportunity to take advantage of this education. I'm charging you all with the task of fulfilling it for him. Shabazz told students in the audience, live each day like it's your last, because tomorrow is not promised. UCD student Marquise Akins, shout out Keith, what it do, man, big bro, along with several other attendees, thank God for the lives of Andrews and Black. It's no one's fault. One student said it's God's purpose. While many of the speakers did not have the opportunity to get to know Hughes, they remembered him for his smile, his hair. Told you my bro had the fro, man. When I met him, he had the frizzo, and his sweet personality. Carol Wall, Vice Chancellor of Students Affairs, also spoke, telling the audience what she had learned of Hughes through his personal statement. Hughes's professor, Milman Harrison, who teaches African American Studies 10, was also present. As students leaned against each other for support, one attendee asked the crowd to hold hands, close their eyes, and she read a poem in Hughes's memory. UCD counselors were also in attendance and encouraged students who needed to talk to visit them in North Hall. We had the memorial service to honor an essential part of our community, Jackson said. Hughes was 18 years old at the time of his death. The thing I miss the most is his smile, Hughes' mother, LaWanda, said Tuesday. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrect in any way, Queen. Ahab to Mama LaWanda. Truly beautiful name, and yeah. So ThaWaDa my Nagaz for, everything, because it all comes from somewhere. When you're believing in me, you're believing in Ant, you know what I'm saying? Because there ain't no me without Ant. Literally, there ain't no me without Ant. You know, doing this for my bro means no play, my Nagaz. I can't be on no play. You can't be on no play. We can't be on no play. This can't be nothing, you know what I mean, but reality, you know what I'm saying? This can't be nothing but pushing it to maximum pop offness, man. We got to pop off to the extreme for A&T, because without him, there would be no me. Hey, shalom to my real Naga. Shalom to you, Anthony Dwayne Hughes. ThaWaDa for hearing my testimony, my Naga. And, you know, I know you got yours. And this is mine. At that time, says HaWah, will I be the power of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says HaWah, the people that were left of the sword have found grace in the wilderness. Even Israel, when I go to cause him to rest, from afar HaWah appeared unto me. Yea, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with affection have I drawn you. Again will I build you, and you shall be built. O Virgin of Israel, again shall you be adorned with your tabrets, and shall go forth in the dances of them that make merry. Again shall you plant vineyards upon the mountains of Samaria. The planters shall plant and shall have the use thereof. For there shall be a day that the watchman shall call upon Mount Ephraim, arise you, and let us go up to Zion, unto HaWah, our power. For thus says HaWah, sing with gladness for Jacob. HaWah, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout at the head of the nations, announce you, praise you, and say, O HaWah, save your people, the remnant of HaSharah. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the uttermost parts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame and the women with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall they return here. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by rivers of water. And we're going to go into some more of these damn dams, man. We're going to go into the, TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, and see what authority they got over our people, over our things, over our stuff. We're going to talk about the Great Slave Lake, Naga, and the true definition of whitewashing. Washing our cities away with these damn dams. Yeah, we're going to reach maximum pop-offness for my Naga A&T. Because that lit a fire in me that can never be doused, my Naga. I focus on making Ant proud. I ain't worried about nobody on the internet, you understand? But I know that in the internet, we got real Jacob out here. We got real Nagaz out here. We got Nagaville tuning in. So we do it for you too. The same way, man. Because we all one drop, we one tribe, we one vibe. Announce ye, pray ye, and say, O HaWah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Verse 9, they shall come with weeping. Why, my Naga? Why you crying? Why you weeping? As we talk about these damn dams and we talk about these lakes and these cities like Oscarville under Lake Lanier and Benton under Lake Martin, you know what I'm saying? And all these other lakes that my Nagas is popping off with. I mean, yeah, this seems to be infinite lakes, man, and it seems to be infinite amounts of our things under the water. And that pain you feel, imagine what you're going to feel when the lakes dry up and the reservoirs are dried up. Imagine what you're going to feel. My Naga, you will weep when you see what they flooded. They couldn't use it all. They just had to flood it, I guess they figure by the time these damn dams, you know, uh, get put out of commission and these lakes are dried up and reservoirs are gone, I guess our time is up by then. We might as well just ride this thing on out. Because when you see what they really flooded And we're going to talk about the Tennessee Valley Authority and Ahab to one of my Nagaz in the comments that brought up the TVA. So let's go. But you're going to come to HaWah weeping, man. This script never probably made a lot of sense to you before. You're like, what you mean come weeping? You're going to come weeping when you realize just the gravity, if there was such a thing. Just the weight of the massacre, the weight of the reality of full life and civilization popping off and then being flooded out. They compare it to Atlantis, which is another conversation for another day. Because so much of your stuff is underwater. They shall come with weeping, and with supplication will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by rivers of water. In a straight way wherein they shall not stumble, for I am become a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Oh no, I thought JC over there in the New Testament, right? Come on. Come on. Come on home. Hear the word of HaWah, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel does gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For HaWah has ransomed Jacob, and he redeemed him from the hand of him that is stronger than he. And they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow into the goodness of HaWah, to the corn, to the wine, to the oil, to the young of the flock and of the herd. And their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not pine any more at all. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, and the young man and the old together, for I will turn their mourning into joy. Ahab for JoiWorld, and will comfort them and make them rejoice for their sorrow. And I will satiate the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says HaWah. Allah, HaWah. Allah, HaWah. Allah, HaWah. To be satisfied, satiated in your soul bone as a cod. The joy of being satisfied, by our Creator and accepted as his firstborn, her firstborn, Ama Abba. That should do something to you. That should be enough to make you aware, to make you humble and grateful, for the grace and the grace period that we've had to get it right. Thus says HaWah, a voice is heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children because they are not. Thus says HaWah, refrain your voice from weeping and your ears from tears, for your work shall be rewarded. Says HaWah, and they shall come back from the land of the enemy. And there is hope for your future, says HaWah, and your children shall return to their own border. I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself. Thou hast chastised me, and I was chastised as a calf untrained. Turn thou me, and I shall be turned. For you are HaWah, my power. Surely after I was turned, I repented, and after that I was instructed, I smote upon my thigh. I was ashamed, even confounded, because I did bear the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim a darling son unto me? Is he a child that is dandled? For as often as I speak of him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore my heart yearns for him. I will surely have compassion upon him, says HaWah. Set up your waymarks, make your guideposts. Set your heart towards the highway, even the way by which thou wentest. Return, O Virgin of Israel, return to these cities. Return to these your cities. How long will you turn away coyly, O you backsliding daughter? For HaWah has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall court a man. Thus says HaWah of hosts, the power of Israel. Yet again shall they use this speech in the land of Judah and in the cities thereof, when I shall turn their captivity. HaWah Baruch, you, O habitation of righteousness, O mountain of holiness, and Judah and all the cities thereof shall dwell therein together, the husbandmen and they that go forth with flocks. For I have satiated the weary soul, and every penning soul have I replenished. Upon this I awakened and beheld, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, says HaWah, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast, and it shall come to pass like that as I have watched over them, to pluck up and to break down, and to overthrow and to destroy and to afflict. So I will watch over them to build and to plant, says HaWah. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten our sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Uh-oh. Ain't nobody else dying for your sins, my Naga. We dying for our own iniquity. Every man that eats the sour grapes, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, says HaWah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant that I made with the fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, for as much as they broke my covenant, although I was a power over them, says HaWah. But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. Says HaWah, I will put my law in their inward parts. Let's go. So you gonna KTC directly. You gonna keep the code because it's coming through you from the inside. All my Nagaz KTC is like it's flowing from inside of you. It's not like you're learning it from outside of you. You're being reminded by Drop Nation, but it's coming from the inside. And why say I'ma write my name in your inward parts, my law in your inward parts. HaWah. I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with the fathers. Verse 33, but this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says HaWah, I will put my law in their inward parts, and in their heart will I write it, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know HaWah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. Says HaWah, for I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin will be remembered no more. Thus says HaWah, who gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and the stars for a light by night, who stirs up the sea that the waves thereof roar. HaWah is his name. And those ordinances, if those ordinances depart from me, says HaWah, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. But Managa, if you still see the stars and the moon and the sun, that means those ordinances have not departed from HaWah. And you are always a nation. You are always remembered before HaWah. You don't need to be no nation in the hijack eyes. You don't need to get your nation card and your paperwork from the government to be a tribe. You're a nation before HaWah forever. Khan. Thus says HaWah, if heaven can be measured and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, or we gonna search. We're doing some search. HaWah. If the heavens can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, then I will cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, said HaWah. But can the heavens be measured? And can the foundations of the earth truly be searched out beneath? Then I guess HaWah will not cast you off, Manak, for all that you have done. Verse 38, behold, the days come, says HaWah, that the city shall be built to HaWah from the tower of Hananel. Almost sounds like Anna. Let's go. Unto the gate of the corner, and the measuring line shall go yet out straight forward unto the hill Gareb, and shall turn into Goah, and the whole valley of the dead bodies and the ashes, and all the fields unto the brook Kidron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto HaWah. It shall not be plucked up, nor thrown down anymore forever. We are immovable. We are unforgettable. We are the firstborn. HaWah. We are the families. And shout out to all of our 500 code keeping families that made sure we hit every single mark every single time. Ahab Gregory Coleman and Tracy Slocum and all my Nagaz that continue to, make it happen for the children, make it happen for the tribe. Ozaline Perry, all the anonymous family, Tyler, Tyrione, Tuone, Contessa Taylor, all my anonymous family, Mikael Sanders, Kylie Hart, all the family, man. I appreciate everybody. Truly, 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 truly. We all do. If you want to see the vision, it will be here. With 500 code keepers, it doesn't take much to get there. And you've proven that already. Hey, how for you, all my Nagaz, man. Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man. We're gonna make our way into, some of these lost cities. I did want to flow, a little bit because we drop, we like to flow, man. And, real quick, man. Hey, I can't confirm or deny the man's last words, man. But shout out to, my bro, man. It's gonna hit me later, your name. But you on IG popping off, man. He dropped this, man. Shout out to you, man. Oh man. It's gonna hit me later. But yeah, man. He was fully hit up, and it's still saying that was the cause of his demise, right? Okay. That's crazy. You know what I mean? But hey, rest in power, colon, pow, you know what I mean? And whatever truly happened, we will never know. But, he was fully hit up, you know. So you just take that and figure that out for yourselves, my dog. You know what I'm saying? You figure it out for yourself, man. But rest in power, man. So all we could really say about that one, man. Let's jump into this Maccabees, and I wanna let's see. It's interesting talking about the Shabbat. Interesting, man. Love to the bro, Yohanatan Hebrew Prince, man. Always just dropping, information that makes you dig further. Information that makes you, have some connectivity of your very own, man. Ahab Yohanatan with that real spill dropping every Monday in the ether at 432thedrop.com, 432thedrop radio, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Let's go, man. Yeah, just reminded me of reading all these Maccabees stories, man. I had to definitely revisit a couple, um, you know, and these are some heartbreaking stories, especially, the brothers in the frying pan because they didn't want to eat the swine. We're going to kind of brush on that as well. I want to bring all this out as we dig on our cities, man, because everyone had to risk everything. You know what I'm saying? The families that lost it all, been losing it all. It's important to connect all this. And, again, back to Jeremiah 31. And they shall be my people. Why are these events happening? Why such destruction, right? Is it just about the cold drop? Is it just about the cold? It's about the Ahab. It's about respect. It's about self-respect and self-love, self-Ahab. If you don't love yourself enough to prosper, to truly prosper, then what are you doing it for? But you believe you can prosper without the Creator. And I think it's time for you to see clearly. You ain't got to be religious to know that you're a part of something greater than you could imagine, greater than you remember. This energy, these stars, this sun, this moon, the lands beyond the plane, they're created, not by you, but by what you're connected to. And that energy has a family. And they shall be my people. This Creator has a people. I mean, that's an obvious thing, but it's worth noting, you know what I'm saying? Especially when we're talking the Shabbat, and we're talking Maccabees. This gives some of the basic rundown on Wiki, on Shabbat, weekly day of rest. This leads to some great questions, especially when they put this Maccabees footnote at the end. Oh yeah. Some good dropping here. Oh yeah. So first Maccabees 139 talks about the Antiochus, the fifth or the fourth Antiochus, Epiphanies. Jerusalem's Sabbath becomes a reproach and a profanation. So imagine that. Imagine the world being upside down. Upside down. I mean, imagine a world where instead of them profaning the Shabbat, the Shabbat is now profaning whatever the heathen is on, right? Hijack City. And that world that you're imagining, is not too different than the world you're living in today. They don't blatantly say, don't keep the Shabbat or else we'll kill you, which is what we're about to get into with the Maccabees. There's a reason why the Maccabees were popping off on the Shabbat when it came to warfare and, preparation. Because that was the decree, If you're keeping this Shabbat, you're dead. You know what I'm saying? So they were rolling up specifically, or this Antiochus was rolling up specifically on the Shabbat because that was against the law. Like, it was like, that was the decree. Killing Naga on the Shabbat. Killing Naga for keeping the Shabbat. It got that serious, to where it's like, all right, well, we can't obviously just be in some complete rest when we got an army rolling up on us, you know what I'm saying? Specifically on the Shabbat as repeatable and observable signs, you know what I'm saying? You know. Let's go. Because I want to get to the why of it all, before we just read Maccabees and say, all right, well, yeah, they were at war. technically we're at war too. You know, mental war, spiritual war, silent weapons, quiet wars, and therefore we don't need to rest. We don't need to keep Shabbat because hey, the Maccabees, they didn't, they didn't keep it because they had to go to battle on the Shabbat, and we too got to go to battle on Shabbat. In my Naga, the short answer, unless the president makes a decree today and says no Negroes can keep Shabbat in America, and if you do, we'll kill you. And then they start rolling up with tanks on the Shabbat as repeatable, observable signs. You can't put yourself in the Maccabean mentality, right? The warfare, the needles, what I'm saying, the GMOs, the chemtrails, what I'm saying, the police situations. None of that compares to what the Maccabees were faced with head on, what I'm saying, and specific attacks by this Antiochus and the gang on the Shabbat. It was like almost suicide not to be ready for war on the Shabbat, knowing that they're coming on the Shabbat after they've made it a law that you can't keep the Shabbat and yada, yada, yada. So, unless our president, such and such, and whoever, takes it to that extreme where you cannot rest on the Shabbat, to where if you decide to rest and meditate on HaWah on the Shabbat, you're pretty much committing suicide because someone's going to try to snipe you and your crew and your family. Everyone's could possibly die today. Like, unless you in that mentality, you cannot put yourself in the Maccabean mentality, to use any parallel of not resting when HaWah has decreed forever for us to rest. We get to the why of it all. You're dealing with a case by case, a very specific matter, a very specific situation going on. It wasn't just about economic warfare and spiritual warfare and things that might be coming up. Nah, man, it was all happening. You know what I'm saying? So, although we are preparing, for whatever the turn of events will be, in the future, none of us could put ourselves in the mentality of the Maccabees. And in this state of mind, when it was a direct attack on the Hebrew, physically and everything else, all at once. It wasn't like a few Nagas getting jammed up over here and a few Nagas over here. It was an attack on all the Nagas. What I mean? It was, all right, we coming, to end all your lives today. That type of thing, what I'm saying? So we don't know what's happening in the future, Naga, but we definitely haven't gotten to this point to where we're like, oh no, we can't rest on the Shabbat because an army is going to come kick down our door. Like, none of us is at that point, even though that might be where we're going. You know what I'm saying? And, it's a very interesting story, and it's a lot to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? But before we draw a conclusion, we definitely have to answer the why. You know what I mean? Before we plant any seeds that, oh, well, hey, we're in war times, yeah, they're at war against us. Let's not rest on the Shabbat. So what you gonna do? Fight in your army every Shabbat? You gonna stand on side with an AK every Shabbat? Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Other than rest right now. The reason for the war on the Hebrew is because of the lack of being in code. So the answer to getting out of war cannot be to be out of code. In this situation with the Maccabees is extremely specific, very much particular to the Shabbat and the attack on the Hebrew and the attack on the Naga, straight up to their face bone in full out war. full out war, which is, even with all our crises going on, many of us have not experienced full out war before. I'm not even talking about war being in, the hijack army, the military, this. I'm talking about war as a Hebrew Naga, where you are literally protecting your Hebrew family, man. Not fighting in another man's war. Your war. It's a different experience. The emotion is different. The purpose is different. Now, Maccabees in Maccabees 139 under Antiochus, Jerusalem's Sabbath became a reproach and a profanation. So now it's profane. In Maccabees 2:32 through 41, he wars against the Maccabees and followers on the Sabbath. 1,000 of whom are killed after refusing to come out. When's the last time 1,000 Negroes were killed on the Shabbat, my naga? You know what I'm saying? When that starts happening, then yeah, okay. You might need to be in Maccabee mode and be prepared for war every Sabbath. And yeah, it would be impossible to rest. And yeah, emotionally speaking, you could say it's impossible to rest because of all the destruction going on in the war on our families anyway. But my naga, you are not in the Maccabean mentality. You are not on no Maccabean level of war. You're not dealing with 1,000 Nagas that just got killed today on the Shabbat just because it's the Shabbat and just because you Hebrew. All this had to happen for them to be like, all right, man, we got to be ready for battle on Shabbat. Because even though this was happening, you still had Nagas, you know what I'm saying, that, yeah, they they were like, nah, we're just going to keep Shabbat. Even if there's an army coming in here today, we rested. But, HaWah at this time is laying down that wood, man. You know what I'm saying? HaWah is laying down that law. The reason for the hijack to begin with is because of being out of law, out of code. So HaWah was allowing it to happen based on the transgressions of the idolatry. They were kicking back like, nah, HaWah ain't gonna roll up on us on the Shabbat. Yeah. After all that idolatry, HaWah said, you don't care about your Sabbath? You don't care about Shabbat? I ain't gonna care about Shabbat. That's HaWah's energy at this time. You don't care about Shabbat? I ain't gonna care about Shabbat. So the real question is, do you care about Shabbat, my man? Because if you don't, HaWah's not going to care about what happens to you on the Shabbat. And even though these Nagas, you know what I'm saying, were definitely, stepping in, that good foot, definitely stepping in the flow, definitely stepping in. You had some real code keepers, in these Maccabees. But I'm saying they're paying the dividends of what's already been coming. They're paying the dividends. They're paying for the the energy of the entire flow of idolatry that's already been popping off through. By this time, you're talking Maccabees. You're talking what, Persian. Uh, no, you're talking Greek captivity. You know what I'm saying? So this is the whole knock on the New Testament as well, is that it skips over this Greek captivity and goes into the Roman captivity. It leads off on the Persian Medes situation, and then it just skips into the Roman captivity, with this Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And the Romans are coming. They skip over the entire Greek saga. So the Maccabees picks up right there, in case you're new to that and wondering where this fits in. You know what I'm saying? This will be in the Apocrypha, or the original 1611 King James. You know what I mean? So let's get it right here. 1,000 of whom are killed, refusing to come out. Mattathias and his friends decree that they will battle on Shabbat in self-defense. Now, we just said Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. This Mattathias is Matthew. Reflected, boom, phantoms, duplications, letter Yosef, back into this different, this Matthew version in the Roman flow. But there's also a Matthew or Matthias, already popping off in the Hebrews, with the Hebrew already during this Greek captivity. Now, Mattathias and his friends decree that they will battle on Shabbat in self-defense. In chapter 9, verse 34 through 49, Bacchides prepares to attack on Shabbat, but is defeated by Jonathan Maccabees. So he coming for that Shabbat, get down, and he ends up having to lay down because the Maccabees are already popping off. Now, no, they're not chilling and resting on Shabbat, because they would be fools to do that, because literally they know that this Bacchides, this Hellenistic Greek general is coming for their head bone. Not just them, but their families, their children, everybody. You just read that 1,000 were already murked, already killed. So they knew to prepare. Now some, again, were saying, hey, it's a Shabbat. Hey, even if they come, we ain't going to prepare. We're just going to be resting. And some use this as an excuse to pop off on the Shabbat, because they're like, yeah, man, you can't just sit around and do nothing, man. You got to, unless an army is coming your way. Be prepared every day, but don't let this take you out your zon or your rest, unless these type of drastic, they were already warned before this happened. It ain't like they got snuck up on. This was a law that they couldn't keep Shabbat. When you start seeing laws get passed that you can't keep Shabbat, all right, maybe it's time, for you to think about self-defense on the Shabbat, because they're coming for you because it's against the law, right? So it was already in motion, my man. This ain't no excuse today in 2021, so-called, to say, hey, the Maccabees were already in self-defense on the Shabbat. This ain't happening, in your hood, in your neighborhood. You ain't seeing some random Greeks or some random, hijacks just mowing down Negroes every Shabbat. So this don't really apply to you. You can't use this as conjecture to slide about the rest, slide about the weaponized rest. Because Shabbat is all about self-defense anyway. It's about self-worth. It's about self-love, self-ahah. The best defense you can have is to be weaponized and to be rested and zoned up and powered up with Amma Abba. To skip that is truly skipping your defense. It's truly skipping out on your weapon. But they had an army, trying to pummel them on the Shabbat with wisdom. Jonathan and them were prepared. Demetrius I Soter declares that Jews will be free to celebrate feasts, Sabbaths, new moons, and solemn days, but it's not received. Then you got 2nd Maccabees in chapter 5. We're about to get that. A Mysian captain named Apollonius attacks all those celebrating Shabbat. In chapter 6, verse 6 through 11, Antiochus criminalizes Sabbath and ancient feasts. So here we go. And those keeping Sabbath secretly in caves are burned to death. So you don't hear about Nagaz getting burned to death by the government on the Sabbath. So it's not that type of Maccabean flow to where you take this and compare it and say, oh, well, we're not going to keep Shabbat because this is a war time for us. We are technically at war. Managa, you ain't in this type of war. You ain't been through these type of warnings. No one has declared the Sabbath illegal, and no one is burning you to death on the Sabbath, especially for keeping the Sabbath secretly. So don't make this a Sabbath thing. But Nagas love to try to, spiral on out of this thing, right? Spiral on out of the code that keeping gives you life, and not keeping is bringing the death. You can't counter the death with death, Managa. You got to counter the death with life. Keeping the Shabbat is life. In chapter 8:26, after defeating Nicanor's army, the men of Judah's Maccabees leave off pursuit on preparation day instead of gathering spoil, occupying themselves about the Shabbat and praising and thanking HaWah. After Sabbath, they distribute the spoil to the maimed widows and orphans, and then themselves and their servants. So it says Judas Maccabees leave off pursuit on preparation day instead of gathering spoil, occupying themselves about Shabbat and praising and thanking HaWah. All right, then after the Sabbath, they distribute the spoil to the main widows and orphans, and then themselves and their servants. In chapter 12, verse 38, Judas's men reach Adalam and purify themselves when the 70th day comes according to custom, and keep Shabbat there, burying those dead in battle on the day after according to custom. All right. So even after this pop offness going on, what I'm saying, with Jonathan and what I'm saying, all the tribe going down in the Maccabees in chapter 1, they were still keeping the Shabbat. It wasn't like they said, nah, Bacchides is preparing to attack and all this is happening and we're never going to keep the Shabbat again. They still got in cold when they could. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like they just said we'll never keep Shabbat because war is always on us, mental war, spiritual war. Like, nah, they got back in cold. They were handling it case by case. This is a case by case, the best they could. And I'm just saying this to clarify, because some Nagas will try to take this and say, oh, well, this is wartime too. We don't need to keep the Shabbat. We're just going to use that day to pop off and whatever preparation and whatever this and whatever that. Ain't no one kicking down your door specifically on the Shabbat. Yeah, we at war in general, but it's not a Shabbat war, my Naga. They were having a Sabbath war. He was attacking the Sabbath. He was attacking the Creator directly by trying to profane the Sabbath, profane the Shabbat when he knew that the Hebrews were resting. This was a sneak move, Malaga. This was a specific move on the Shabbat. Until you start pointing out specific Shabbat attacks around you, you can't use this to, oh, we're being attacked on the Shabbat. We can't keep Shabbat. I can't focus on Shabbat because we're being attacked. Like, your Shabbat is your Shabbat. You have an opportunity. You have a freedom that they didn't have to keep your Shabbat. And even with all the jam ups throughout the week and all the negativity and all the tragedy in our families and all the warfare and the silent weapons and the quiet wars, none of that is a Shabbat war. None of that other than them making this big spending day in these shopping malls. And, that's a war on the Shabbat. But none of it is, oh, we're going to wait to attack these Nagas on the Shabbat. And they come in your neighborhood and they attack you for keeping the Shabbat. These Maccabees were having a Shabbat-specific war where one power didn't want them keeping the Shabbat. They wanted to teach them a lesson. They wanted to profane HaWah's name. by doing so. And they had to make a choice, like our Shabbats are being attacked. Should we do nothing or should we pop off? And this is the choice they made. And you could be on whatever side of that decision, but it wasn't your decision. You're not there. It's not your babies and families being protected or not protected. You know what I'm saying? So, all we could do is just read from it, learn from it. But in no way can we put ourselves in the Maccabean mentality. That would be foolish and that's disrespectful. Don't use this so that you could profane the Shabbat because, hey, keeping the code is just a hobby to you. Oh, hey, here's a way out. Hey, Maccabees didn't keep Shabbat. They went to war. See? And the other dudes was trying to keep Shabbat and they got wiped out. See, they were fools. See, that's foolish. You cannot compare your situation to this. That is foolish. There ain't been nothing in history like this. There is nothing to compare to what the Maccabees is going through in any recent times for you. Civil rights, we shall overcome, all that. None of that compares to this. And we're going to read about the frying pans and you're going to understand that nothing compares to having to watch your children being fried to death on a damn frying pan because they don't want to eat no swine. But you can go and order all the swine you want, right? You don't care. You don't feel nothing about it. These Nagas were dying, watching their children die because they refused to eat that pig, man. And these Greeks were having a good time watching them, saying, who's next? Anybody want to eat this pig? No? All right, hop in the frying pan. They had a big party about it. Those keeping Shabbat secretly in caves were burned to death. Let's get it from here. Judas's men reach Adullam and purify themselves when the seventh day comes according to the custom and keep Shabbat there. They kept keeping it. They didn't stop because of those previous wars. They kept keeping it, burying those dead in battle the day after according to custom, i.e. the first day. Chapter 15, verse 1 through 4, Nicanor resolves to attack Judas and Samaria on the Shabbat, but is entreated to forbear by the Jews accompanying him. Who argue that the living HaWah commanded the seventh day to be kept in holiness. So he was going to attack him, but then he was talked out of it by the Hebrews that were with him. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in there, man. Let's jump in there. Let's get to we'll fall back and we'll just enjoy. Let's enjoy. This is Maccabees 1, chapter 2. Let's enjoy this beautiful flow and just remember, man, in our heart bone, we popping off from a Naga A&T. This is dedicated to my Naga, my brother, my friend, you know what I mean? Anthony Hughes, man. HaWah. So let's get this, and then we're going to get into some of that Tennessee Valley Authority drop, and we'll keep it going, man. We'll just keep it going. In those days, Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib from Jerusalem, dwelt in Modin. He had 5 sons, Johanan and Cadiz, Simon, called Thasi, Judas, who was called Maccabees, Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphus. And he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem. Wow, so Matthias is popping off. He's the son of John, who's the son of Simeon. He has 5 sons. So you got Johanan, Simon, Judas, Eleazar, and Jonathan. And he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem. He said, "Woe is me, wherefore I was born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers." Man, ain't we going through that? I mean, we have a lot of parallels with this Maccabee. Don't you wake up sometimes like, man, I'm born in this time period to see all this misery, my people. Look at my city. Look at my holy city, man. Look at my country. I was born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy. All these hijacks done turned Nagaville into Hijackville, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation has not had a part in her kingdom? Don't you feel this way, my night? What nation has not had a part in America and gotten of her spoils? Don't you feel this way, my night? Verse 11, and all her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she is become a bondslave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentile has profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Then Matthias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore. So, they're mourning for what, Managa? They're mourning for the state of Israel, man. The not the state, but the state. You know what I'm saying? The condition. You know what I'm saying? Of the Khan. They're mourning for the condition of the people. Shall we live any longer? And they rip the clothes. They mourn in verse 15. And in the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came into them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandments. So he was picked on immediately, right? He was strong with his sons, this Mattathias, full of the kings, and they told him to fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, the men of Judah also. Now you pop off with these heathen activities. No one has to make you do this anymore. That's why we can't compare ourselves with these Maccabees. We we love profaning the law, the code. We love popping off on Shabbat. Not resting, just going crazy. We we love going to the club, right? We love doing all this stuff. We love all these idols. We love going to our churches and our mosques. We love throwing stones. You don't have to make us do it. They don't have to they don't have to make it illegal. But if every Naga started being back in code, maybe they would make it illegal. I don't know. But it definitely feels illegal when you a Naga and you tell someone that you're keeping Shabbat and that you're not popping off. I ain't going there. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? Like, that's when it gets, just into a situation, where you feel that you're offending somebody just by being you. You know what I'm saying? You know. And I mean Friday night. I think I said Saturday night. We love popping off Saturday night. Yeah, we do love popping off Saturday night. Shabbat show 2.0, man. Let's go. But Friday night, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, no one has to, trick us into profaning our Sabbaths anymore. It's very easy for us to do that already. We don't need a Maccabees comparison or a Maccabees push to say, forget the Sabbath. We're at war, so forget the Sabbath. Our people already have forgotten the Sabbath. We have to tell our people to remember the code, to remember the Shabbat. I mean, that's the type of frequency we're in right now. You know what I'm saying? In real time. I mean, we gotta protect our Shabbat. We gotta protect our Sabbath. We gotta protect our rest until it it is literally impossible. That's this case scenario. That's the Maccabees. It became impossible to rest. It became impossible to keep Shabbat when you got an army kicking down your door. That's when they knew that it was going all the way up. There was no other way to go. If they had to go to war on Shabbat, they know that this was, pretty much the beginning of the end. You know what I'm saying? That HaWah, had that much hurt and pain, that it was going all the way up. HaWah was no longer protecting us on that Shabbat because we had not protected that Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? This is a different time today. We are beginning to protect our Shabbat again. You know, ain't no army coming up against us on Shabbat, my not. Oh no, not this time around. This is a whole new frequency. Hey, you don't believe me? Then I ask you to be a witness. A nation in code being trampled on the Shabbat. This is what you have to, pull out of a hat because that just does not ever happen and will not ever happen. A nation in code, not coming off the idolatry, but literally just popping off, putting all that stuff away, that energy like we just read, you know what I'm saying? It's being, in Jeremiah 31, that energy is being written in our inward parts. HaWah's code is in our inward parts. I mean, for real. Oh yeah. Even Israel will I go to cause him to rest. From afar, HaWah appeared to me. Yea, I have loved you with everlasting love. Therefore, with affection have I drawn thee. Again will I build thee. Managa, this is a new beginning. This Jeremiah is describing a new beginning. You shall be built. Maccabees, you're talking about an ending, a tragic ending, you know what I'm saying, of Nagaz fighting to the bitter end. You know what I mean? Facing all that derivative flow, you know what I'm saying? All of the result of all the outer coldness, of all the hijack. And these are the Nagas that fought to the end for you, for our family, for the ancestors, man, for HaWah. And in many cases, they were Baruch. They were protected. HaWah says, you shall be built, O Virgin of Israel. Again shall you be adorned. For there shall be a day that the watchman shall call upon Mount Ephraim, arise and let us go up to Zion. Amen. We're talking about the remnant of Israel. And you know, what does HaWah say about, writing that code, that code on our heart bone again? Oh yeah, with supplications will I lead them. We're just talking about my firstborn. La HaWah. Behold, the days come, says HaWah, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass like that, as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to overthrow and to destroy and to afflict. So, hey, will I watch over them to build and to plant. So what does it mean for HaWah to watch over you, to pluck up and to break down? So you have a Maccabees period where Israel's literally being overthrown, broken down, right? To overthrow, to destroy. They're being afflicted on the Shabbat. And then you have a period where I will watch over them to build and to plant. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten sour grapes. Ain't no more fathers eating sour grapes that they are, fighting for. The children's teeth are set on edge, but every one shall die of his own iniquity. So there must be iniquity, every man for himself, right? Every sister for herself. Behold, the days come, says HaWah, that I will make a new covenant. Is this the same covenant under the Maccabees, or were they at the very end of the old covenant? And is the new covenant starting right now with maximum pop-offness, with the house of Israel and Judah, the northern and southern tribes coming together, two sticks, right? Let's go back to that Ezekiel flow. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand and brought them out of the land of Egypt, for as much as they broke my covenant, which is why the Maccabean situation is going down, which is why the captivities are going down. But this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after these days. Those days, says HaWah, I will put my law in their inward parts. I'm going to put the KTC in their heart bone. And this is you today popping off, which is why you can't compare yourselves with the time of the Maccabees. Was the law written on their heart bone? Yeah. Not just the, Judas Maccabee and Jonathan. You know what I'm saying? Of the people. Did the people have it in their heart bone? Was it still outside of their heart bone? But we're talking about a new covenant, not a New Testament, my night. This is before the New Test, right? Or this prophecy is popping off before the New Test. Prophesying about one day. And this is something that we've never witnessed, this new covenant, this house of Israel and Judah coming together and, this law written on their heart, but we've never seen this. So who are we talking about other than the KTC Nagaz of today, keeping the cold, popping off, sparking off right out of your heart bone? HaWah says what? This covenant I will make with the house of Israel. I will put my code, my law, in their inward parts, and their heart will I write it. I will be their power, and they shall be my people. Has that happened yet? Let's go. Let's go. Back to Maccabees First Maccabees chapter 2. Let's go. So he got the father Mattathias in verse 18. Now therefore come first, fulfill the king's commandment like all the heathen did. And the men of Judah also, and such as remnant at Jerusalem, so shall you and your house be in the number of the king's friends. Are you want to be allies with the hijack? Amen. Come serve our idols. Come eat our swine. Holidays pop off. And you and your children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. Then Mattathias answered and said with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's domain obey him and fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. We talking HaWah, code keepers. So we're talking true to life code keepers that end up being attacked on their Shabbat and have to, they're gonna have to run it. They're gonna have to run that fade. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to, pop off that war because they have no choice, man. No choice, no rest. They can't get a minute apiece if they try to hit the lottery. The lottery couldn't give them no peace. Not when your children's lives are at stake because someone's coming to slay them specifically on the Shabbat. You ain't in that situation. You keep your Shabbat. Verse 21, HaWah forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances, that we will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, translation, our culture, our ways, our code, either on the right hand or the left. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. He wanted them to sacrifice to false gods, which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger. according to judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Wow. So Mattathias, he saw one of the Hebrews go and start worshiping this idol, and he killed him on the spot. Also, the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Man, the stones on this ark right here to pull down the altar in the sight of this king, to slay the king's commissioner in front of him, and the Negro trying to worship false idols, man. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of HaWah, like as Phineas, right? That reminds you when Phineas had to pop off so he can hold off that plague. Did unto Zambri, the son of Salam. And Mattathias cried out throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whoever is zealous of the law and maintains the covenant, let him follow me. Whoever's KTC, follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. Oh yeah, this we can definitely understand. This we can definitely understand. So he and his sons fled to the mountains, left all they had in the city. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there. Both they and their children, their wives, their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. And they said unto them, let that which you have done hitherto suffice, come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and you shall live. So yeah, I'll forgive you, just worship our idols, right? But they said we would not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Shabbat. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. So because they wouldn't profane the Shabbat or worship idol, they had to fight on the Shabbat. They could have worshiped the idol and outwardly profaned the Shabbat and then secretly tried to keep it, you know what I'm saying? But they just held it 100. So they gave them battle with all speed, albeit they answered them not. Neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said, let us die in our innocency. Heaven and earth will testify for us that you put us to death wrongfully. So instead of fighting and protecting their families on the Shabbat, because it was the Shabbat, they took the route and said, well, this kind of reminds me of the Ecclesiastes, I think it's 9 or 12, breaking down being too good, time and place for everything type of thing. And, these particular, ox and aquas, they said, nah, man, we're not going to throw a stone. We're not even going to fight. Verse 38, so they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people. This is what we just read. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done and fight not for our lives, right? Because literally they had to fight for their lives, literally, and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out the earth. And at that time, therefore they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Shabbat, we will fight against them, neither will we die all, and our brethren, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law, and all that they fled for persecution. Also all that they fled for persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger, and wicked men in their wrath, but the rest fled to the heathen for succor. Then Mattathias and his friends went round about and pulled down the altars, and what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. They pursued after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings, neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now have pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be you zealous for the law, for the code, and give your lives to the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? Joseph in his time of distress kept the code, the commandment, and was made Lord of Egypt. Phineas our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. And now it says Jesus, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. But remember, they're talking about a whole nother somebody named Jesus. They ain't talking about no New Testament, right? They're talking about what happened previously. Well, let's go. So really, that's Joshua. They're saying Joshua, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elias, for being zealous and fervent for HaWah, was taken up into the heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Misael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. We're talking Mishael and Abednego now. Okay. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider you throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Why? None that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found. Because he is returned unto dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Wherefore you, my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall you obtain glory. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him, always, and he shall be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabees, he hath been mighty and strong, and even from his youth up, let him be your captain, and fight the battle of the people. Take also unto you all those that observe the code, keep the code, observe the law, and avenge the wrong of your people. Avenge the wrong of your people. Recompense fully the heathen. This is what he's saying to his sons, man. Get that get back on the hijack and take heed to the commandments of the law. Keep the code. So he baruched them and was gathered to his fathers. And he died in the 146th year, and his sons buried him in the sepulchres of his father at Modim. And all Israel made great lamentation for him. So, I just wanted to get an understanding of Maccabees and why they were popping off at war. It wasn't their choice. It wasn't something that they chose to, you know what I'm saying? It was literally get down or lay down. They had just heard of over 1,000 Nagaz being slaughtered on the Sabbath, and they knew that it was uptime, that HaWah, wasn't going to give them that pass because of their innocency. Their innocency wasn't going to count, what I'm saying, in this occasion. HaWah was getting, that get back. HaWah was allowing it to happen. HaWah was, he had warned Israel already. So, this is already happening. They were already, dealing from all that twisted hijack, what I'm saying, that had already infested the tribes of Israel. And they had to make a last stand on behalf of the whole tribe. And they couldn't help that was going down on the Sabbath, because that was the battle plan of the hijack. Second Maccabees chapter 5, let's just get right into it. When this man arrived in Jerusalem, he pretended to be peaceably disposed, and waited until the holy Sabbath day. Then, finding the Hebrews not at work, he ordered his troops to parade under arms. He put to the sword all those who came out to see them, and rushed into the city with his armed warriors and killed great numbers of people. But Judas Maccabees, with about 9 others, got away to the wilderness and kept himself and his companions alive in the mountains as wild animals do. They continued to live on what grew wild so that they might not share in the defilement. So they lived on what grew, my naga. They didn't hunt and kill everything, right? They lived on what grew wild so that they would not share the defilement. They didn't want to be defiled by the what? By the swine or anything, else, really. I mean, they were just living on what grew wild. HaWah. Not long after this, the king sent Athenian senator to compel the Hebrews to forsake the code, the law of their ancestor, and no longer to live by the law of HaWah. Also to pollute the temple of Jerusalem and to call it the temple of Olympian Zeus. So now you hear about all these Olympian Zeus stories. They're just talking about the temple of Jerusalem. And to call the one in Gerizim the temple of Zeus, the friend of strangers, as did the people who lived in that place. So think about this, Managa. Think about this long and hard. If they were transferring, if they were turning the temple of Jerusalem into the temple of Zeus, where do you think that God went? Because this is the Greek captivity, right? Then you pick up the New Testament and the Roman captivity. Where do you think Zeus went? Where do you think he went? Why is it the New Testament going back to the Greek? These are the Greeks, right? They worship Zeus. Why are the Greeks giving you a New Testament and the hero's name is Jesus, Ezeus, because there's no J, right? That's a new letter in the English. Yeah. Ezeus. So they give you a character named Zeus after blatantly worshiping Zeus. Now your New Testament just goes back to the Greek, right? That's an abomination. I mean, now this character's popping off talking about all power has been given to me, all authority in Matthew 28. What authority, Zeus? Did HaWah say that, or are you saying that, Zeus? Right? Harsh and utterly grievous was the onslaught of evil, for the temple was fulfilled with debauchery and reveling by the Gentiles who dallied with prostitutes and had intercourse with women within the secret or sacred precincts, and besides brought in things for sacrifice that were unfit. The altar was covered with abominable offerings that were forbidden by laws. People could neither keep the Sabbath nor observe the festivals of their ancestors. And again, until you see this start cranking down, I don't think you have to worry about, um, you know, some general in his army, trying to slaughter you because you're keeping the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to slaughter you anyway. That's what they do. And for sure, secretly inside it's because you are you. But the word wasn't out to kill the Hebrew on the Shabbat. That's not the word that's going out today. It's just, pretty much kill everybody at this point. So you keep your Shabbat. You don't have to say, you know what, I can't get a moment with HaWah because they're going to run down my door right now. Don't use this as an excuse to be out of code, my nigga. Because being in code is all we got. And when that time comes, when you got to be in a Maccabee mentality, all praise to HaWah, your Shabbat and your code and your, you know, your water that you keep flowing with HaWah, that is your armor and that you're able to pop off with maximum pop offness. You know what I'm saying? We will be popping off with maximum pop offness when its time comes, because this is not the old days. This is that new flow, that new wave, that new covenant, that new covenant, that new covenant. When I will put my law in your inward parts, and your heart will I write it. This is that new. Hey, this a brand new wave, man. You can't compare yourself with the old wave because you're not dealing with the same um, payment. You don't have to make recompense for the same transgressions. You right now are popping off based on your righteousness, man. You're not paying for your transgressions no more. Not you, not my code keepers. You're popping off in rejoicing, in joy, and peace. You're popping off of JoiWorld. You're popping off in the flow of building in code. These stories should remind you of truly who the hijack is, not tell you to be out of code because it's the Shabbat. And Judas had to fight on the Shabbat and we might have to fight on the Shabbat, so we can't keep Shabbat too. That's hijack city. Yeah, we at war. You know what you gotta do? Code up. Because even they were fighting with a much higher frequency and connection with HaWah than any of us. But as we become aware, we'll have a much higher frequency than any of our ancestors ever had. And that's the whole point, is to get better, is to get, is to raise in vibration. As you popping off now, you just becoming aware, but you can't compare yourself to no Maccabees, man, in your awareness. But as we become fully aware, we'll be able to truly embrace our ancestors, truly embrace the Maccabees, truly embrace, you know what I mean, and have maximum pop offness to go with it in code. Verse 42. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians who were men, mighty men of Israel, even as such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law, right? So they tribed up, and all they that fled from persecution joined themselves unto them and were a stay unto them. So they joined forces, they tribed up and smote the sinful man in anger, wicked man in their wrath. Let's go. Verse 48. So they recovered the law out the hand of the Gentiles and out the hand of kings. Neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. Let's go. Chapter 6. Verse 5. The altar was covered with abominable offerings that were forbidden by the laws. People could neither keep the Shabbat nor observe the festivals of their ancestors, nor so much as confess themselves to be Hebrew. Are you in that time where you can't call yourself a Hebrew without being slave? Then you can't compare yourselves to the Maccabees, and you better be resting on your Shabbat, because HaWah is giving you an opportunity to do that in your new covenant, Manak. On the monthly celebration of the king's birthday, the Jews were taken under bitter constraint to partake of the sacrifices, and when a festival of Dionysus was celebrated, they were compelled to wear wreaths of ivory and to walk in the procession in honor of Dionysus. At the suggestion of the people of Ptolemais, a decree was issued to the neighboring Greek cities that they should adopt the same policy towards the Jews, to make them partake of their sacrifices, and should kill those who did not choose to change over to Greek customs. Now we happily do it, right? One could see, therefore, the misery that they had come upon them. For example, 2 women were brought in for having circumcised their children. They publicly paraded them around the city with their babies hanging at their breasts, and then hurled them down headlong from the wall. Others who had assembled in the caves nearby in order to observe the 7 days secretly were betrayed to Philip and were all burned together, because their piety kept them from defending themselves in view of their regard for the most holy day. So, it's almost like too little, too late. They were trying to be so righteous, like Ecclesiastes say, man, time and place for everything. There's a such thing as being too good, you know what I'm saying? Too pious, where you're not making no sense. Ahab to Yohanatan, there's a time, you know what I'm saying, when You're going to have to, you know, if you have to tribe up and defend yourself, you got to defend yourself no matter what day it is. But that doesn't mean that, you know, you use that as an excuse, you know what I'm saying, not to rest, not to flow, you know what I'm saying, when you're able to. And we're in a time right now that we're able to rest on our Shabbat, and nothing should break that. Nothing should take that away. HaWah. Hey, man, we just popping off, man. And these beautiful Maccabees flow. Yeah, they were all burned together because they had a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Now I beseech those that read this book that they not be discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for chastising of our nation. For it is a token of great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. I mean, this is deep right here, man. For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom HaWah patiently forbears to punish till they come to the fullness of their sins, so deals he with us. HaWah don't patiently wait for you to, flourish, and then he's gonna bring you down. Nah, HaWah is just gonna come right at you. And really, that's a token of AI. You know what I'm saying? That, you're dealt with right away. We're dealt with right away. Because those that he doesn't care about, like the heathen, he'll let them build up and build up and build up and then just annihilate. You know what I'm saying? We're disciplined all along the way so that we don't get too far out of pocket, man, that we can't come back from. Lest that being come to the height of sin afterward, he shall take vengeance of us. And therefore he never withdraws his mercy from us. And though he punish with adversity, yet does he never forsake his people. But let this that we at spoken be for a warning unto us. And now with we come to the declaring Now will we come to the declaring of the matter in a few words. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of the well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination. All right, man. So, you know, many people chose death over eating swine's flesh. He spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment, and it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things and are not lawful for love of life to be tasted, but they that had the charge of the wicked feast for the old acquaintance, they had the man taken him aside, but sought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use and make as if he did eat the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king, that in doing so he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly as he became of age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child. or rather the holy law made and given by HaWah. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straight ways to send him to the grave. For it became not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, were now gone to a strange religion, and so they, through my hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be received by me, and I get a stain to mine old age, and make it abominable. For though for the present time I shall be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive or dead. So I ain't gonna be afraid of you jokers. Wherefore manfully changing his life, I will show myself as one as mine age requires, and leave a notable example to such be young to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. Wow. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him, changing the good, will they bear him a little before into hatred, because the foresaid speeches proceeded, as they thought, from a desperate mind. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, It is manifest unto HaWah that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten. Who does this sound like? Sound like something from the New Testament, right? Nah, my naga, this is Maccabees. This is Greek captivity. I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage. Wow. My naga, we're talking Eleazar. Phantoms and duplications, man. Yourself, pop it off, man. Pop it off. What does it sound like to you, my knight? For I am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. But do you remember Eleazar? Do you remember Phineas? Are we still trapped in these Greek customs? They wanted him to eat the swine, right? And it happened that also back in Second Maccabees chapter 7, it happened also that 7 brothers and their mother were arrested and being compelled by the king under torture with whips and thongs to partake of the unlawful swine's flesh. One of them, acting as their spokesman, said, What do you intend to ask and learn from us? For we are ready to die rather than transgress the laws of our ancestors. The king fell into a rage and gave orders to have pans and cauldrons heated. These were heated immediately, and he commanded that the tongue of the spokesman be cut out, and that they scalp him and cut off his hands and feet, while the rest of his brothers and mothers looked on. We can't compare ourselves to the Maccabees, man. When he was utterly helpless, the king ordered them to take him to the fire, still breathing, and to fry him in the pan. The smoke from the pan spread widely, but the brothers and mothers encouraged one another to die nobly, saying, HaWah is watching over us, and in truth has compassion on us, as Moses declared in his song that bore witness against the people to their faces when he said, And he will have compassion on his servants And after the first brother had died this way, after the first brother had died in a frying pan, they brought forth the second for their sport. Sport, my naga, this was their sport. They tore off the skin of his head with his hair and asked him, will you eat rather than have your body punished limb by limb? He replied in the language of his ancestors and said no. Therefore, he in turn underwent tortures as the first brother did, with tongue cut out, hands and feet. And when he was at his last breath, he said, you accursed wretch, you dismiss us from this present life, but the King of the universe will raise us up to an everlasting renewal. Are you being renewed, my Naga, of life? An everlasting renewal of life. Because we have died for his laws. After him, the third was the victim of their sport. When it was demanded, he quickly put out his tongue and courageously stretched forth his hands and said nobly, I got these from heaven, and because of his laws I disdain them, and from him I hope to get them back again. As a result, the king himself and those with him were astonished at the young man's spirit, for he regarded his sufferings as nothing. And after he too had died, they maltreated and tortured the fourth in the same way. When he was near death, he said, one cannot but choose to die at the hands of mortals and to cherish the hope HaWah gives of being raised again by him. But for you, there is no resurrection to life. Next, they brought forth the fifth and maltreated him. But he looked at the king and said, because you have authority among mortals, though you also are mortal, you do what you please. But do not think that HaWah has forsaken our people. Keep on and see how this mighty power will torture you and your descendants. And after him, they brought forth the sixth. And when he was about to die, he said, do not deceive yourself in vain. For we are suffering these things on our own account because of our sins against our power. Therefore, astounding things have happened. And this is where the Negro is today, right? Astounding things have happened. We have become an astonishment. Everybody wants to be us now. They want to ride our wave. We can't have a land of our very own. We can't pop off Nagaville, not without the hijack or others trying to cleave. But they weren't trying to cleave when your ass was getting put in the frying pans. They weren't trying to cleave when you were being hosed down by fire hoses in the 60s. But today, everybody want to be a knock. But astounding things haven't happened to your people. But do not think that you will go unpunished for having tried to fight against HaWah. The mother was especially admirable and worthy of honor, honorable memory. Although she saw her 7 sons perish within a single day, she bore it with good courage because of her hope in HaWah. She encouraged each of them in the language of their ancestors, filled with the noble spirit, that Ruach. She reinforced her woman's reasoning with the man's courage and said to them, I do not know how you came into being in my womb. It was not I who gave you life and breath, nor I who set in order the elements within each of you. Therefore, the creator of the world, who shaped the beginning of humankind and devised the origin of all things, will in his mercy give life and breath back to you again, since you now forget yourselves for the sake of his laws. Antiochus felt that he was being treated with contempt, and he was suspicious of her reproachful tone. The youngest brother being still alive, Antiochus not only appealed to him in words, but promised with oaths that he would make him rich and enviable if he would turn from the ways of his ancestors, and that he would take him for his friend. Oh, he's a friendly now, right? He's a friendly Indian now, and entrust him with public affairs. Since the young man would not listen to him at all, the king called the mother to him and urged her to advise the youth to save himself. Now they want to show mercy after putting 6 Nagas in a frying pan. After much urging on his part, she undertook to persuade her son, but leaning close to him, she spoke in their native language as followed, deriding the cruel tyrant. My son, have pity on me. I carried you for 9 months in my womb and nursed you for 3 years and have reared you and brought you up to this point in your life and have taken care of you. I beg you, my child, to look at the heaven and the earth and see everything that is in them and recognize that HaWah did not make them out of things that existed in the same way the human race came into being. Do not fear this butcher, but prove worthy of your brothers, accept death, so that in HaWah's mercy I might get you back again, along with your brothers. She didn't tell him to fold. She told him to live, to not be an abomination. And while she was still speaking, the young man said, what are you waiting for? I will not obey the king's command, but I obey the command of the law that was given to our ancestors through Moshe. But you who have contrived all sorts of evil against the Hebrews will certainly not escape the hands of HaWah, for we are suffering because of our own sins. This hijack needs to know our suffering came because of our own sins. And if our HaWah is angry for a little while to rebuke and discipline us, he will again be reconciled with his own servants. But you unholy wretch, you most defiled of all mortals, do not be elated in vain and puffed up by certain uncertain hopes. When you raise your hand against the children of heaven, you have not yet escaped the judgment of the Almighty, all-seeing power. For our brothers have endured a brief suffering, have drunk of ever-flowing life under HaWah's covenant. But you, by the judgment of HaWah, will receive just punishment for your arrogance. I, like my brothers, give up body and life for the laws of our ancestors, appealing to HaWah to show mercy soon to our nation, and by trials and plagues to make you confess that he alone is HaWah, and through me and my brothers to bring to an end the wrath of the Almighty that has justly fallen on our whole nation. And the king fell into a rage and handled him worse than the others, being exasperated at his scorn. So he did in his integrity, putting his whole trust in HaWah. Last of all, the mother died after her sons. And let this be enough about the eating of sacrifices and the extreme torture. You cannot compare yourself to your ancestors, but you can be you. There's no greater, there's no less, there's only you. And when you're you, you walk into a new covenant that doesn't throw away the code like the new test. But this new covenant, HaWah says, I will put my code in your heart bone, man. In your hearts will I write it, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people, man. It gets no realer than this, and it gets no better than this, my nigga. Yeah. You know, I expected to pop off with this whole Tennessee Valley Authority, but hey, I'm just going with the flow, man. Just popping off in Jeremiah and Maccabees and, just giving Ahab, to my noggin, man, you know what I'm saying? My inspiration. My inspiration, Anthony Hughes. And I appreciate all y'all that, have given, true energy, what I'm saying, to the cause and the power and the movement, that we're rocking with HaWah. And, let those who have perished in any way, tragically or otherwise, what I'm saying, let them be remembered. Let all my Nagaz, what I'm saying, return and pop off the way they're supposed to. And just know that we do it, what I'm saying, for them. It's bigger than me, it's bigger than us. It's about them. I appreciate y'all for enduring my testimony, you know what I mean? And for sharing in the ether, for sharing in the flow, for sharing in the vibration. And we'll keep it going. I'll come right back hot with the Tennessee Valley Authority and talking about these damn dams, man, and this great slave lake as well. But, today had to be, today had to be. Rest in power, Anthony Dwayne Hughes, my friend, my brother, my inspiration. We're going to keep popping off for you. My knock, my real one, man. And we ain't going to stop because they can't stop the drop. Amen. Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Keep your Shabbat. Keep the code.